Yogis are observing 5 Upadanakhanda, 5 aggregates subject to clinging as impermanence, suffering, and non-self. So regarding this, Buddha asked the question, what do you think of that? Is Rupa permanent or impermanent? So regarding Rupa, regarding Kaya, Buddha asked this question. So we have to recite the Buddha questions and the answer. Can you open your book, page 120? Page 120, paragraph 6. Can you follow me, Pali? Tanke minyata bhikkhave Rupa neccham va aniccham vati Aniccham bande Yambana neccham Dukkam vata sukham vati Dukkam bande Yambana neccham Dukkam viprinama dhammam Kalanuta samanupasitom Etamama Esohamasami Eso me adadi No hitam bande. So we recite together. Tange minyata bhikkhave Rupa neccham va neccham vati Aneccham bande Yambana neccham dukkam vata sukham vati Dukkam bande Yambana neccham dukkam viprinama dhammam Kalanuta samanupasitom Etamama Esohamasami Eso me adadi No hitam bande. Can you follow me? Translation. Monks, what do you think? Is Rupa permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. That which is impermanent, is it unsatisfactory or satisfactory? Unsatisfactory, Venerable Sir. That which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and subject to change, should it be viewed correctly thus, this body is mine. This body is I am. This body is me. This body is myself. No, Venerable Sir. So regarding Rupa, Buddha asked the question. So what do you think of that? Is Rupa permanent or impermanent? So there is the questions of the Buddha. So Buddha asked the question to the practitioner. Yogis are practicing meditation, yogi are observing rupa or kaya, the whole retreat. Mostly rupa or kaya is more obvious than nama. What is rupa? Rupa or kaya is abdomen, leg, hand, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, etc. So many kinds of rupa, many kinds of kaya. Yogi are practicing meditation. If yogi practice meditation correctly, they can answer with their own knowledge. So primary object rising and falling of the domain, that is rupa or kaya. When yogi take notice of the actions of rising of the domain, you perceive the phenomena of extension, pressure, and movement in your abdomen very clearly. This phenomena of extension, pressure, and movement is the manifestation of the air elements. The phenomena of extension, pressure, and movements was non-existent before. The movement was not there before. It becomes manifested just as the abdomen begins to take a rise. Then it is the rising of the phenomena is becoming the beginning of the phenomena is the rising of the abdomen, because you carefully noted when the rising comes to an end, there is no more extension, no more pressure, no more movement in your abdomen. So the movement is said to terminate, movement disappear, movement cease and pass away. So while the rising of the abdomen is carefully noted, yogi perceives this rising to pass away, this rising to disappear. So this dissolution following on the heel of rising is the sure characteristics of impermanence. So realizing the true nature of impermanence in the course of noting the rising and falling of the domain is true insight knowledge of impermanence. This knowledge of impermanence comes from your noting the beginning and end of each arising. So in the Samasana Jnana, knowledge of comprehension, yogi see very clearly. At this stage of Samasana Jnana, knowledge of comprehension, the phenomena, you see through only the beginning and end of the phenomena of the same type of Namarupa. The fine details of what happens in between, you cannot perceive yet when you are in the stage of comprehension stage. So it is just the knowledge of impermanence, and you perceive the beginning, becoming, and dissolution of the continuing processes presently happening. When noting the phenomena of rising, the beginning of the rise, you perceive as well as its end. To know the beginning of the rise is to know its becoming. To know the end of the rise is to know its dissolution. So seeing the becoming and the dissolution of each arising, there can be no misconception of it to be permanent. It is surely a nature, it is surely impermanent. And then falling. When you know the phenomena of falling, the shrinking and contracting motion of the abdomen is clearly seen. It is Vayodhatu, air elements, in motion. In seeing the beginning of the falling movement of the stomach and its end, the phenomena of air elements is to be seen. The falling rupa was not in existence at the time of extension. Only when the rising movement comes to an end, that the falling rupa, falling movement, comes into being. Then finally, the falling rupa also vanish away, disappear instantly. So this falling rupa is also surely not permanent nature. So why Namarupa is called impermanent? Why Rupa is called impermanent? That Namarupa is impermanent because of its nature of coming to an end. In accordance with this definition, the falling of the abdomen manifested by the contracting motion comes to an end, ceases, so it is impermanent. According to another commentary definition, non-existent previously, it comes into being and then dissolve, perish away, so it is impermanent in nature. So why making note falling, the beginning and end of the phenomena of falling, you perceive and you realize its impermanent nature. It is true jnana, true knowledge. So understanding the nature of impermanence at this stage of comprehension by seeing the beginning and dissolution of the continuous process presently happening. But when you reach the stage of Udiyabhya jnana, knowledge of rise and fall, during the interval of one cycle of rising and falling, you can note 3 or 4 or 5 distinct moments of beginning and ending of the phenomenon. So when your knowledge getting strengthened, you can see more segments, more unit, because noting mind getting strengthened. And when you reach the stage of Binganyana, knowledge of dissolution, during the interval of one cycle of rising and falling, numerous moments of dissolution, yogi can see. So the material body of rising and falling, being subjected to incessant dissolution, is indeed not permanent, a nature. And also another rupa, stretching, bending the limbs. You observe very continuously when the movements of bending or stretching of your limbs, you carefully note bending, stretching. You are observing the rupa clearly and you can answer the questions of the Buddha. What do you think? It is permanent or impermanent? You look very carefully at the beginning and end of each bending or stretching. You clearly see it is because the respective motions are being carefully noted. But other person who do not practice meditation may not be aware of the bending or stretching of his limbs. Even if he is aware of the bending or stretching of his limbs, he will not perceive the beginning of the movement separately from their ends. So unmindful person will be under the impression that the hand, which is there before, bending or stretching, still remains there after the movement. So unmindful person think it is the same hand, same leg. They think in this way. When bending or stretching, it will be seen that there is a slow motion of the limbs gradually passing from one moment to another moment. At every occasion of bending or stretching, the beginning of the extending and moving is coming into being, becoming of the material qualities of air elements. And the end of the extending and moving is the dissolution of the Vayo element, Vayo Dhatu, air elements. When noting the bending to know the beginning and ending of each bending is to know the arising and dissolutions of air elements. And then you know stretching, to know the beginning and end of each stretching is to know the arising and dissolutions of air elements. So in one single act of bending and stretching, you know the separate, slow movements of the limbs gradually passing from one moment to another. It is also knowing the arising of dissolution of the air elements. So the gradual slow movements of the limbs usually reveal the nature of impermanence, which cannot be realized without taking heedful note of each movement. And walking, you pay attention to the foot. While walking, yogi is taking note of left, right, stepping out, left, right, and you know the beginning and end of each step. It is knowing the arising and dissolution of the air elements, which is responsible for extension and movements of the legs. And also you take note of the movements of the legs, raising, pushing forward, dropping, raising, pushing forward, dropping. You know separately the beginning and end of movement, raising, stepping out, dropping down. So this is also knowing the arising and dissolutions of air elements. Knowing the separate slow movements of the legs involved in each act of moving is also knowing the coming into being and dissolutions of air elements. So in this way, the air elements responsible for movements of each step is arising and passing away with each step. So it is sure, it is impermanent. You can answer Anichampante. Rupa is impermanent. Now you know sitting, touching, leg or buttock or any area touching points is clear. You know touching. When noting the feeling of touch that may be felt anywhere in your body, you know the arising of sensations of touch and its disappearance. It is knowing the arising and dissolution of the rupa, material qualities involved in touch sensation. And you know the arising and passing away of sensitive material qualities of your own body as well as that of the tactile body. A yogi realized the freshly arising rupa, freshly arising material bodies are not stable, they are impermanent, because you have seen their incessant arising and passing away by actual noting, hearing very clear to the yogi. When hearing and you take note as hearing, you keep your mind inside the ear, hearing. You capture the sound to be freshly arising and disappearing. It is knowing the arising and dissolutions of the sound wave. So the sound which arises every time sound is heard is not permanent. Along with material qualities of sound wave, the material qualities of the eardrums on which sound makes its impression also arise afresh and disappear with the sound. Sound will disappear and eardrum disappear. Mostly yogi very clearly capture the sound will disappear. So it may be said that once the arising and dissolution of sound wave is perceived, the arising and dissolution of the material qualities of the eardrums, you also know. In this way, yogi takes note of sound as hearing. Every time a sound is heard, you know the impermanent nature of sound. You know at the same time impermanent nature of rupa, material qualities of the ears as well. With the sound wave from the traffic, the sound wave of the siren are generally regarded to be heard as one continuous stretch, but to the yogis, whose insight knowledge grown strong, those sounds appear in minute portion, section by section, one after another. So yogi realized rupa, the material qualities of sound, also is arising and perishing at a very fast pace. So whatever Buddha asked this question to the yogis, yogi need to answer correctly with your own experience. Is rupa permanent or impermanent? So you have to answer rupa is impermanent, Venerable Sir. So regarding rupa, rupa vanished very immediately after arising. So regarding rupa, we have to listen the story of Siriwa Wanija, narrated by Buddha. So regarding a disheartened monk, to have no regrets in the future, Buddha told him this story of Sawiti to encourage him to persevere. If you give up your practice in this sublime teaching, which leads to Nibbana, you will suffer long like the trader of Siriwa, who lost a golden bowl worth 100,000 pieces. Buddha told that bhikkhu monk. So when other monks asked to explain, Buddha told this story of the distant past. So long ago, our Bodhisattva was an honest trader selling pots and pans in the kingdom of Siriwa. Sometimes our Bodhisattva, the honest trader, traveled with another trader from the same kingdom. That trader was a greedy who handled the same wares. So one day, the two traders crossed the Tilawaha River to do business in the busy city of Andapura. So as usual, to avoid competing with each other, They have to divide the city between them. Now, my friend, you go and sell the southern area. I will go and sell my wares in northern area. Then next time, you go to the northern area and I will go to the southern area. So the two traders have to share and they have to divide the city between them to sell their goods from door to door. So in the city, there was a very bad house or shaky house. Previous time, that family had been rich merchants. But you know, life is ups and downs. Sometimes very rich, sometimes very poor. Ups and downs of life. This family had been rich merchant before, but by that time, their fortunes had dwindled to nothing. And all the men of the family had died. The sole survivor were a granddaughter and her grandmother. They are very poor, and these two poor ladies earn their living by working for hire. That afternoon, while the greedy trader was on his rounds, he came to the door of that very house and uttering water pots for sale, water pots for sale. That means he's selling earrings, necklace. He may also exchange the things the trader uttered. So when the young girl heard his crying, she begged to her grandmother, "Grandmother, please buy me a trinket and inexpensive ornament as 12 for girl." She begged for her grandmother, and grandmother said, "Oh, my granddaughter, we are very, very poor. There is not a cent in our house, and I cannot think of anything to offer in exchange." The grandmother told her granddaughter, and the granddaughter suddenly remembered an old bowl, and she directed to the bowl and she said, "Look, grandmother, here is an old bowl. It is of no use to us. Let us try to trade it for something nice." The granddaughter told her grandmother. What the little girl showed her grandmother was an old bowl which had been used by the great merchant, the late head of the family. That great merchant had always eaten his curries served from this beautiful, expensive golden bowl. After his death, that bowl had been thrown among the pots and pans and forgotten. Since the golden bowl had not been used for a very long time, it was completely covered with grime. So the two women had no idea it was gold. And the old woman, grandmother, asked the trader to come in and sit down. And the grandmother showed him bowl and said, "Sir, my granddaughter would like a trinket, earrings. Would you be so kind as to take this bowl and give her something or other in exchange?" The grandmother said to the trader. The greedy trader took the bowl in his hands and turned it over. He suspected it's heavy. He thought, suspecting its value, the greedy trader scratched the back of it with a needle. After just one covert look, he knew for certain the bowl was real gold. So he sat there, frowning and thinking, until his greed, his lobha, increased fast, because it is golden bowl, very expensive. At last, the greedy trader decided to try to get the bowl without giving the woman anything, whatever for it. So he pretended to be angry. He screamed, "Why did you bring me this stupid bowl? It is not worth half a cent." So the greedy trader threw the bowl to the floor. He got up and walked out of the house in apparent disgust. So it is the right time to, if he is honest, he can take this bowl for paying something. But now he tried to get the bowl without giving anything. So it is the nature of lobha. Since it's just being agreed between the two traders that the one might try the street which the other trader had already covered. Now the honest trader came later into the same street and appeared at the door of the house. The honest trader uttered, "Beads for sale, earrings, necklace, etc." Once again, the young girl made the same request of her grandmother and told her grandmother to call the trader. And the grandmother replied, "My dear, the first trader threw our bowl on the ground and stormed out of the house. What have we got left to offer?" The grandmother told the daughter, granddaughter, but the granddaughter said, "Oh grandmother, the first trader was nasty, but this one looks, sounds and very kind. I think he will take it." So the granddaughter insists, and the grandmother agreed. All right, then called the trader in. And when the honest trader came into the house, the two women gave him a seat and shyly put the bowl into his hands. When the two women put the bowl into his hands, immediately the trader, honest trader, recognized that the bowl was gold. He simply, honestly said to them, "Mother, this bowl is worth 100,000 pieces of silver. I'm very sorry, I don't have that much money." The honest trader simply said the truth. So astonished at his words, the old woman said, "Sir, another trader who came here a little while ago said that this bowl was not worth half a cent. And then he got angry, threw the bowl on the floor, and went away. If it was not valuable then, it must be because of your own karma, because of your own goodness, that the bowl has turned into gold. So, O trader, please take it and just give us something or other for it. We will be more than satisfied." The grandmother told the honest trader. So at the time, Bodhisattva, the honest trader, had only 500 pieces of silver and goods worth another 500. So he gave everything to the woman, asking only to keep his scale and his bags, and 8 coins for his return fare. Of course, they were happy to agree, and after expressing appreciation on both sides, the trader, honest trader, hurried to the river with the golden bowl. He gave his 8 coins to the boatman, and he asked the boatman to cross the river without carrying any other passenger. Then he got into the boat. Not long after Bodhisattva, the honest trader, had left, the greedy trader returned to the house. Now that greedy trader had a dream. Now I will pay 5 pieces of quail for this bowl, for this golden bowl, and I will be very rich, and I will make a very beautiful life in the future. So the greedy trader had the kinds of dreams, and then he returned to the house, giving the impression of having reluctantly reconciled their offer. And the greedy trader asked them to bring out their bowl. He said, "I will give you something or other for that bowl after all." And now the old man flew that greedy trader. "You are dishonest. You told us that our golden bowl was not worth even half a cent. Lucky for us, an honest trader came after you left and told us that bowl was really worth 100,000 pieces of silver. That honest trader gave us 1,000 for it and took it away. So you are very late. Very sorry for you. The grandmother told the greedy trader. When the greedy trader heard this, an intense pain swept over him, and he shouted, "He robbed me. That bowl is my bowl. I got it fast, and he robbed my golden bowl." He shouted, and he cried, and he got my golden bowl worth 100,000. So that greedy trader lost all his control, throwing down his money and merchandise. He tore off his shirt and grabbed the beam of his skill for a cane and ran to the riverside to catch the other trader. So by the time he got to the river, the boat was already in midstream, and greedy trader shouted for the boat to return to shore, but the honest trader, who had already paid, calmly told the ferryman to continue on. Now the frustrated trader could only stand there on the riverbank and watch his rival escape with the bull. The sight so infuriated him that the fierce hate swelled up inside that greedy trader. His heart grew hot, and the blood gushed from his mouth, and finally his heart cracked like the mud at the bottom of the pond dried up by the sun. So intense was the unreasoning dosa, hatred, which he developed against the other trader because of the golden bowl, that he perished on the spot. So because of the unreasoning dosa and domanasa, the trader perished on the spot. So now the honest trader returned to Siriwa, where he lived a full life spent in charity and other good deeds, and passed away to fare according to his karma. So now when the Buddha finished his story, he identified himself as the honest trader and Devadatta as the greedy trader. So Buddha said, in those days, Devadatta was a dishonest trader. I, Buddha, was the wise, honest trader in those days. So Buddha told this story. In this story, we need to understand honest trader gave 1,000 pieces of silver and took the 100,000 pieces worth golden bowl. But the greedy trader thought the golden bowl was there. Golden bowl was not taken by anyone. Actually, golden bowl was taken away by honest trader. Golden bowl was not there. In the same way, now yogis are observing every rupa arising at the six senses. When you see, you have to know seeing, seeing. When you hear, you have to know hearing, hearing. Smelling, tasting, touching, and knowing. So at the moments of seeing, rupa, eye sensitivity, is not there. But if we're not mindful, unmindful person knows at the moment of seeing, eye sensitivity is stay in existence. Unmindful person knows that at the moment of hearing, the eardrums stay in existence. But when yogi observe these rupa, whatever seeing, hearing, etc., continuously and meticulously, yogi note seeing, seeing, hearing, hearing, and these eye sensitivity, visible object, all vanish after seeing. Yogi note hearing, hearing, and sound wave and eardrums vanish after hearing. So it is a difference between mindful yogi and unmindful person. Mindful yogi knows that the rupa are disappearing continuously. They are not there. They are not still in existence. As soon as arise, they disappear immediately. So in this story, greedy trader thought that the golden bowl was there, but actually golden bowl was taken by the honest trader. And also in this story, we need to learn that greedy trader tried to get the golden bowl without giving anything. That is akusala sankara, loba. And when the golden bowl was taken by the honest trader, bodhisattva, dosa, hatred, swelled up inside the greedy trader. So that is dosa, akusala sankara, unwholesome, volitional formation. And bodhisattva, the honest trader, had no desire to get golden bowl freely. He told the grandmother and girl that it was gold. So he had no desire to get the golden bowl freely. That is aloba, non-greed. That is kusala sankara, wholesome, volitional formation. And because of his adosa, loving kindness, bodhisattva, the honest trader, told the grandmother and girl the truth. So he had no desire to cheat them. If he cheated, the woman didn't know, but he had no desire to cheat them because of his adosa, loving kindness, no hatred. So in this story, we need to learn that kusala sankhara and akusala sankhara, wholesome volitional formation and unwholesome volitional formations, and rupa uh, changing all the time. They are not in existence forever. They are disappearing continuously. So we have to stop our discourse for today. We will continue tomorrow by noting rising, falling, sitting, touching, seeing, hearing continuously and meticulously, by noting every phenomena occurring at the six senses, by noting all kinds of upadana, the five aggregates subject to clinging diligently. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. So,